You ever have one of those moments where someone's arrogance just stuns you? Like, so off the charts you kind of forget how to blink? Yeah, that was me, standing in my driveway, clutching a greasy wrench, trying to process the fact that Karen from the HOA had just pointed right at my pride and joy, a cherry red, fully restored '69 Camaro, and said, "That car should be for community use." I mean, honestly, it hit me like a bad punchline. For a second, I actually waited for her to wink and laugh, like this was some elaborate prank. Spoiler alert, she was dead serious. 6 years I'd lived in this neighborhood, quiet streets, neat lawns, the kind of place where the mailman says hi and you know what time your neighbors walk their dogs. I kept to myself mostly, spending weekends elbow deep in engines, classic rock on the radio, sipping cold beer while the sun dropped behind my garage roof. That Camaro? That was more than a car. It was the last big project my dad and I finished together before he passed. Every bolt, every speck of paint meant something. But Karen? Karen didn't care about any of that. She'd only lived here 2 months, and she already strutted around like she'd bought the whole zip code, never without her clipboard and those oversized sunglasses that looked like she stole them from a toddler's dress-up box. Always with that little smirk, the kind that makes you wonder if she secretly enjoys picking fights. So there I am, wiping oil off my hands as she marches up my driveway, heels clacking, like she's headed to court, not my house. The HOA board's been discussing new ways to boost community spirit, she says, practically oozing self-importance. We all think your Camaro would be a fantastic centerpiece for parades, fundraisers, maybe a few photo ops. It just sits here most of the time, doesn't it? Wouldn't it be nice to share it with everyone? I laughed, couldn't help it, just barked out a real, honest-to-God laugh. Karen, if you honestly think I'm just going to hand you the keys to my car, you've lost your mind. And I swear, something in her smile cracked. Just a flicker, like she wasn't used to people saying no. Well, I'll be filing a report for noncompliance, she snapped. Your vehicle doesn't meet community aesthetic standards. Maybe read your HOA bylaws before you get defensive. And with that, she spun on her heel like she'd just closed a business deal and strutted away, leaving me standing there with my jaw somewhere near my oil pan. But honestly, I wasn't mad yet, not really. That part came later, about a week on, when I got a letter in the mail, shaking a little in my hands. It wasn't from Karen, at least not directly. It was from the city's code compliance office. Some concerned community representative had reported my Camaro as a potential environmental hazard. Yeah, you heard right. A classic car, spotless and registered, apparently was being treated like a leaky heap dripping oil into the sewers. The notice said I had 10 business days to remove or properly dispose of the vehicle, or risk $2,000 in fines. I could almost hear Karen cackling through every word. So I called the city office. Try to keep it together, told the clerk. Ma'am, this car is cleaner than most new models. It's registered, insured, not so much as a drop of oil out of place. She just sighed, said, Sir, we don't issue these notices without an official complaint. If you'd like to appeal, submit your documents, and we'll send an inspector. All right, game on. 3 days later, this guy named Mike shows up. Rolled up sleeves, grease under his nails. You could tell he knew his way around a V8. He grinned as soon as I popped the hood. Wow, this thing's a beauty. Whoever complained about this is out of their mind. He stamped my paperwork compliant right there, didn't even break a sweat. I figured, all right, maybe that's the end of it. But, of course, 2 nights later, there's Karen again, ringing my doorbell. Clipboard still in hand, sunglasses on, even though the sun had been down for hours. She barely let me open the door before hissing. You had no right to interfere with HOA enforcement. You went over my head. I couldn't help it. I started to laugh again. Karen, you reported my car to the city, not the other way around. If anything, you went out of your jurisdiction. Her jaw clenched so hard I thought she'd crack a molar. If you won't cooperate, we'll find another way. I have influence with the board. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just bossy, she was dangerous. If she'd lie to the city just to swipe my car, who knows what she'd try next. Turns out, I didn't have to wait long. Next thing I know, it's time for the monthly HOA meeting. Usually I'd rather unclog a sewer than sit through one of those. But after the city stunt, I figured it was time to see what else Karen had up her sleeve. The clubhouse was packed. Neighbors whispering, looking nervous. Karen stood up front like the star of her own show, with a projector and a self-satisfied grin. Tonight we'll be voting on a new initiative, she chirped, the Shared Asset Program. I could feel my blood pressure spike. She clicked the remote and, bam, there's a giant photo of my Camaro right on the screen. Mr. Lawson's vintage Camaro has attracted attention, she says, and we'd like to use it as the community's flagship vehicle. She promised a maintenance stipend, which I'm pretty sure meant, here's $50 for a cracked bumper. Some folks nodded, others shifted uncomfortably. So I stood up. You're proposing to turn my car into community property? I asked, loud enough for the back row to hear. Karen didn't even blink. It's just a proposal, the board will vote. Majority rules. I could feel everyone looking at me, waiting for me to blow up, but I stayed calm. You don't have the authority to seize private property, Karen. She just smiled, all teeth and no warmth. I'm asking democratically. But here's the twist. Right then, I pulled out my phone, scrolled to an email. Interesting, I said, holding it up. Because the city inspector told me someone filed a false environmental complaint about my car. Wonder who that could have been. Karen's face went pale. I don't know what you're implying. I turned the screen toward the board. Clear as day, the complaint came straight from the HOA president's office. Suddenly, the room went dead quiet. Ben, one of the board members, leaned forward. Karen, did you really contact the city? Her voice wobbled. I was just enforcing the rules, but Ben slammed his hand down. You overstepped. That's misuse of authority. Neighbors started murmuring, some openly glaring at her now. Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. By the end of the night, the vote wasn't about my Camaro, it was about Karen. The board met, faces grim. I went home wondering what would come next. For a few days, the neighborhood felt weirdly quiet. No Karen, no notices taped to my door, just an uneasy peace. Then Ben called. You should come to the clubhouse tonight. It's about Karen. When I walked in, the board looked serious. Karen was there, but she'd lost that queen bee attitude. Looked more like a wilted daisy than anything. Ben cleared his throat. Karen, after reviewing your actions, the board found you violated multiple HOA bylaws, misuse of authority, false complaints, harassment. You're removed as president, effective immediately. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her, but not quite. Karen sputtered, tried to argue, but nobody was having it. She stormed out, door banging behind her. Neighbors came up to me after, shaking my hand, apologizing for staying quiet so long. Turns out Karen had been making everyone's life miserable, writing fines for lawn height, mailbox color, you name it. I wasn't the first target, but thanks to that Camaro, I ended up being the last. And poetic justice came fast. A few days after her removal, word got around she'd lost her real job too. Apparently, her company didn't appreciate her using her position to file bogus government complaints. The city flagged her, and the rest is history. So that weekend, I finally rolled the Camaro out for a cruise. The engine thundered to life. Man, that sound felt like freedom. Kids waved, neighbors cheered. Karen wanted my car for community use. Well, the whole block was sure enjoying the show, just not the way she planned. And that's the thing. Sometimes all it takes to stop a bully is to stand your ground and show your receipts. If you ever find yourself staring down a Karen who thinks she owns the world, don't fold. Just hang tight and let the truth do the heavy lifting. Now, let me throw this to you. If someone tried to claim your car for the community, what would you do? Ever tangled with an HOA tyrant before? Drop your wildest stories or your 2 cents below. I love hearing how you all would handle it. And hey, if you want more tales of justice, stick around. Hit that like, subscribe, and let's see where the next battle takes us. Stay awesome, folks.